Thank you for joining us this afternoon for Artist Conversations with Diana, Marto, and Vickisa. I am Shelley Rugg, the gallery coordinator here at Gallery Route 1. For our presentation today, we ask that you please stay muted until we ask you to unmute. Feel free to type questions into the chat at the bottom of your Zoom viewing screen. After a bit of conversation between Diana and Vickisa, we will open it up to the audience for a Q&A. When you want to ask a question, raise your hand like this. For best viewing today, select Speaker View from the top right corner of your viewing screen. You can switch to Gallery View at any time, and you may prefer it for the Q&A. I want you to know that we are recording today's presentation for later viewing on our website. All right, Diana and Vickisa decided they'd like to show slides of their work before they start their conversation. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show.
You're not on speaker.
And if you're unmuted right now, please mute yourself. And here we go. All right, and of course you heard Diana Marto vocalizing in the background. That was fabulous. And now join me in welcoming Diana Marto and Vickisa, who are going to get curious about each other's work and look for common threads.
Well, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be with Diana because we are so different, but we do have this common thread of music, quite different music, but I think that's really neat. But I know Diana, painter, calligrapher, singer, dancer. I just want to know how you pulled off all that. When did you know that you could do all that?
Oh, you keep gathering it like a rolling stone. Come on, you just keep on keeping on. So I mean, I didn't start like really working with my voice with a voice teacher until 5 years ago. So that's kind of like the newest, greatest pleasure of my life is that I can actually open up my throat and sing. It's just like so thrilling.
Well, I can't sing, and that's really why I draw musicians, and I'm obsessed with them. And the last piece that was in the slideshow was a book that I made in New Orleans when we were allowed to go to gigs, and there was a big French Quarter Festival, and I made a book about it, and I've made over 50 of them. I just really love music. And
I
it's
feel like
falsetto.
I feel like when I look at your artist books, your accordion books, and that I feel like they're so alive that they're almost like tableaus, and that I can smell the people and I can hear them singing. I can hear the music. Your work is so lively.
Oh, wow. Do you mind if I copy that for further use?
Funny.
I liked that. Well, I mean, our work couldn't be more different, but I just think the bravery of what you do is what, and I know I'm brave too, because to stand in front of hundreds of people just drawing like that does take some kind of bravery.
I love that story about how you get them. Like you were like hired by the Mill Valley, what was it? The Mill Valley Music Festival to stand in front of the stage as all eyes are on the stage and you, because you're drawing right in front of everybody, right? That's what happened.
Yes, I'd like to say I was hired, but actually they let me. Well, usually I do it for free for myself, so it's a step up, But actually, I do have some news. I don't know, Maria Muldaur actually did hire me to do her CD cover. I'm really excited about it. It's going to come out in a while, but that was really fun listening to her music and then drawing her and the whole band Tuba Skinny. So stand by.
Good for you. That's like one of your most up and coming future things that you're going to be doing, is that record
I
cover?
did it. It's done.
Wow. Did this just happen like during COVID?
Yes, that's what I wanted. It's going to ask you. What did you do during COVID?
I'm moving out of my studio in Emeryville. That's what I'm doing.
Oh, that's a big job. That's right.
See my friend react. I haven't had a chance to tell her on the phone. She's going to croak when she hears this, but that's for later.
Oh, yeah, I know. I was actually thinking we'd talk a little bit more about your behind what you did before. Like, did you have any other jobs or were you always an artist?
Oh, you mean like office worker number 3 at Stanford University?
Is that right?
Or radioisotope distributor at the University Hospital for Nuclear Medicine in Boston? Those kinds of
Wait,
jobs?
say that again. What was it?
Oh God, I detested them. Just
Oh,
detested
but
them.
that sounds like you had to have some skill to do that.
Oh, I could type.
Well, there you go. I was taking art classes when typing happened.
God, I didn't want to be able to type.
I let Mario teach me typing. Are you sure you want to stop? Yes.
The thing about that, having those disgusting, awful jobs, so they heck out of there. Like, I can't be trapped in this place for the rest of my life. I got to go. I got to make up something. So I got to go to Paris, or, I got to go to London, or I got to like save the money I'm making right now, live at home, and, get going.
So that's how you managed to go to China, Cape Town, all of these different places and do your art. I mean, that you traveled so much. Were you married at the time or were you single?
All of the above. I think what happens as a young, okay, to backtrack for a second, I think we set intentions when we're really young, and lo and behold, they actually get woman-affested. And so it's occurring. It seems like, how did that happen? So if you trust in the support of the invisible realms, it happens, it occurs, it's not logical. So let me see. So my father, when I was 16, he's Italian, Sicilian. We went to Italy for the summer. And I was so blown away with what I experienced in Italy that I just promised myself that I wanted to study art and I would get back there somehow. And so my life has just been like that because of that. You just set the intention and it just keeps occurring.
I know. I love to travel and I'm really missing that in my life right now. I just don't get to go anywhere. It's really weird.
Well, you're always driving back and forth from Bolinas to Point Reyes Station. But I want to talk about you and your bright and vibrant use of color and your use of like the figure and your love of paper. Could you?
Oh yeah, because we have paper in common. I love paper. I walk into my studio and I just love my brushes. I love art stuff. I love art materials. I never worked in an art store, but I always loved going to them. And I like different kinds of paper. And the way I make my books, you'll like to know, is with these big rolls of paper that I cut the book out of and then fold it up. And then when I make the reproductions, there's a lot of gluing and pasting. I don't know. It's like a labor of love for sure. but the color, I just love color. I like the painting in back of me is an old painting of my dog, and it was red, and I had about 5 kinds of red in there. And I used to walk into my studio. I'm not kidding. I used to say, I love you, red. And for the longest time, I couldn't paint on top of it because finally understood those paintings of one color in a museum, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I do. I love bright colors.
Yeah, what would life be without color for you?
For me, it's so important. Like when I was going to Pilates, I would have to have the colored ball that I liked. I mean, it's really a little bit nuts.
The other thing I wanted to bring up with your work is some of it's kind of surrealistic or has like a Fellini quality to me, or it's like capturing of different dream states. I love that.
Well,
Entering
what I
into
love
that-
about I missed the last, I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I have a habit. I'm trying to control.
entering into your world of the dream state.
Oh, that is nice. I love I love listening to people talk about my work,
There you
but
go.
your work is what no, because it's so different. It's like when you start out doing something, is it like what you end up with? Do you have an idea that's fulfilled like that, or does it just have a life of its own?
I like to let it have its life of its own, because if I try to make something, then I kind of screw it up, because I'm so much about, real time and spontaneity. It's like if I try to impose my will on something.
Mhm.
I used to be a printmaker and do etchings and engravings. So you do addition printing. What a drag. I just don't want everything to be the same. I don't want it to be exactly what I thought. I want it to show me something. I want that aliveness.
Me too. I have a master's degree in printmaking. How funny. I didn't even know that we had that in common as well. And well, for me, it was, yeah, how many of these am I going to sell? I've got lots of paintings to sell. And the toxicity of the etching materials and stuff at the time, I just realized it was a bad idea.
Well, hey, I used to like put etching ink on a marble slab and go stand on top of it on the slab, the metal slab, so that my feet were, and my friend who's listening right now, she's got one of those prints. It's an impression from using etching ink of my feet walking on paper. That's really healthy.
I know you get like, you're touching your work so much with every part of you. I just think it's very uncommon. I just put it that way. It's very unusual what you do.
It's so visceral, very visceral.
And the
Yeah.
calligraphy, it's interesting how you make those big words.
That's been like something I just have done recently. And what's so fascinating to me, I'm looking at one right now because I'm in my studio, is that I was writing the word astonishing in about an 8-foot piece of paper that's about 50 inches wide. And it's on my floor, anchored to the floor with rocks. And I've got this big sumi brush and my sumi ink, and I'm writing and I'm gesturing and I'm stroking. And it has its own rhythm. And that's what's so fascinating to me, because when I finished that piece and looked at it, not then, but about a day later when I put it up, it wasn't just the word astonishing, it was a stone. It's the way the words separated when I was writing it. It became a stone is, and then I saw sing, a stone is singing. So it was like, it's sending me a message. It has its own aliveness.
And then you started singing
Figured out
to
how
it.
to change the name.
What about singing to it?
Not you
I mean,
anymore.
you sing to your pieces, right?
Yeah, I do. I do.
You do that while you're painting, you do, huh?
It has my judgmental mind be quieter. If it's just like, it's guiding me, it's telling me not what to do, but just puts me in the now.
Oh,
If I'm
that's
like, "Oh," like this one behind me, look at that. Like I had 2 big sumi brushes in my hand and I'm making this big gesture and I'm singing. So it like cuts that conceptual mind. And then I kept like, after I looked at this piece, I kept like a day or 2 later, it was like, okay, I'm going to go do something to it. I'm going to put a big orange yellow swath across it. So I'm all set to do it. And then the other voice, the muse voice goes, oh no, you're not. Just cool your jets. Just look at it. I must have approached this one 4 times to do something with it. And then I brought it home because where I was working was out in an opening in the woods. So I brought it back to my studio and I'm looking at it. And it was right at the time of the solstice. And to me, this figure, she's the solstice rising.
Mm,
She's
mm.
amazing.
So we do have a figurative thing happening there.
Yeah,
Oh gosh. Yeah, I see it now.
yeah.
I have pareidolia. I see faces in the clouds, but that was a little hard to see because it's a little light. So when you moved away, I could really see the figure.
It's true.
I don't know, figurative stuff. Do you think it's very popular right now?
Doing the figure. Well, you've always studied with the figure.
I love I love drawing. I've always drawn live, and I have a drawing group, and I used to meet with it every, twice a month, and we would draw. And then we started drawing outside during the corona, and it was really hard to social distance and stuff. It was hard to do, but I miss that. So I was using a lot of my drawings and just looking at these drawings, piles of drawings, and working on this project about waiting, because it seems like I'm waiting and waiting and like waiting for that dog to shut up. No, I'm waiting for, something to happen, waiting for coronavirus to go away. And I'm sort of trying to learn to wait because I'm an impatient person.
Well, there was one title for one of your paintings that was, I am right where I am supposed to be.
That was my studio painting. I know, and it feels really good to be making art. And it feels not so good when I'm not doing it. And I do have times when I'm not doing it. Do you?
Yeah, a lot. Not a lot right now because I was sort of like in a holding pattern for a couple of years, but with the virus and with no diversions. And I was in the country and it was just like, boom, get to work, get going. And it just like kept guiding me and more and more and more and more. And now it's like 2021 and what's to come as a result of all this. My studio is full of brand new work, all since 2020. All of 2020 work is in here.
Oh, that's great. That's great. It's going to be a lot to pack up, huh? I mean, getting all those big pieces of papers. How do you store them?
Oh God, I don't know. It's a dilemma. Although I've got flat print files, things can fit in.
Oh, huh.
But I've got big rolls. I'm gonna have to build shelves.
Yeah, shelves and stacking. Oh, and then you're not supposed to put things against cardboard because it turns them yellow. Did you know that?
How long does it have to be good for?
Oh, right.
So I'm curious, you showed us just before we got started right now, you showed us a brand new piece that you're working on. Do you have it right there?
Yes, thank you for asking. I do want to show it because it's just, I'm trying, what is it now? Waiting to get out of this box. And I feel like it's so a common feeling and a common thread about, I've been talking to a lot of friends and they're just like, everybody's up against the wall right now with so many different ways, that it's very hard. My other one, waiting to be embraced. Did you get that? Like I'm living here with the dog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas you live with your husband, who's a very big supporter of yours, I've noticed, and I really envy that he's so understanding, let's say, and helpful. He even does your videography, right?
He can do it. He's good at it.
I know. And
That's his passion.
And he's a musician, right?
Yeah, he plays keyboards and piano, and now he's got the squeeze box. He loves his accordion.
Oh, I'm not a fan of accordion so much, except for Clifton Chenier. But I'm a fan of your husband because I've just noticed the way he treats you and your art. I really think that's so great. I don't think that's so for everybody, every artist.
Prerequisite. If you're going to be involved with somebody, you better like what you do.
I think it happens to some people. No names, please.
Paper.
Well, I think it's really lucky, and I think you're very fortunate to have done so much and done so much traveling. I traveled a lot too, but did you live in Japan? Is that where you learned to do the calligraphy?
Yeah. Yeah. I was there for about 3 years, and then I was in Hong Kong another 3 years. So in all in Asia, about
Wow.
6 years. And it
So
was so fertile.
how did you do that? How did you live in Japan for 3 years? Tell us just one example of how you do that.
Well, I was married to somebody who worked for Silicon Valley, so I was a corporate wife.
Now it can be told.
But he was a painter, so he said he was on loan to industry. So
Oh, interesting.
incredible. It was so fertile and fecund to be there. It was like aesthetically, it was just such an opening of revelation to access such a different approach to everything. It was just marvelous.
You know, we are,
We have-
we're going to have a couple of more minutes and then we're going to have to open this up to some questions and answers, although there aren't that many people to ask questions. So guys, be thinking.
Yeah, but we got erudite ones here. They'll be okay.
Oh, good. Okay. Because let's see, the Sumi, I wanted to know about that. And I just was interested. I've lived in Bolinas for over 40 years. I lived in Ellenville, New York for my whole childhood. I'm not a person that moves so much. So how did that affect your art, moving like that? That's my last question.
Well, I think what the shocker was when we went to Italy when I was 16, all I knew about art history or the Renaissance was stuff that I saw in magazines or textbooks. And so to actually encounter physically the work was such a revelation. It was just extraordinary. It was just like, I was like in rapture by what I was experiencing of the energy coming off of the work. So that was the whole beginning of like, wow, I got to get out of here.
So that's really interesting. I mean, I've traveled and I've made art, but speaking of traveling, you're moving to Fort Bragg. Now, that is going to be something with a new studio, a new storefront with a glass window that you can perform in. And
Yeah,
this is some kind of news, right?
it is some news, and I've told the membership. I let them know last night.
I
So,
saw it in my,
but I'm actually not totally moving to Fort Bragg. Oh, Fort Bragg! But
oh, right.
I'm keeping our home in Petaluma. I'm just giving up my studio here at Emeryville, where I've been
Okay.
for 35 years. There's like archives here, and it's like a new chapter. And the fact of having access to the outside, like having these windows, is an aliveness with working in windows. There were 2 images that were shown of my artwork that I was actually inside a store window performing with my big paintings. And I love that kind of immediacy.
Right.
With
All right.
windows.
Well, I want to just wrap it up with it's been so great to have you with Gallery Route 1. And you've done a lot for the gallery, and what has the gallery done for you?
Well, I kept going. And what about you? You're the one who's like Ms. like producer, and you're like such a contributor
Well,
to,
thank
you're
you.
so generous with your time. It's just extraordinary. And with your radio program.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so nice, Diana. I'm going to miss you so much.
Well, I'll be around. I'm not completely
Will
gone.
you be around? Good. You'll keep in touch?
I will.
Oh, good. And we're going to have this question and answer period. And I do believe that it could start right now.
Okay.
Andy Hallett, hi.
Let me just
You.
say a couple of things before we start the Q&A. So we'd like you to stay muted unless we call on you. And remember to raise your hand like this if you'd like to speak. And let's ask some questions. Okay, Betsy, please.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thanks, Shelley. And Vickisa, Diana, thank you so much. First, I just want to comment, Diana, what a shock it was to learn that you were leaving us, and what a loss for GRO. But at the same time, I have so much respect for you and your practice and your process that I just kind of feel secondhand excitement about what you're heading into. So thank you so, so much. I just, for everything, for helping me transition into the organization, for everything you've done for me personally, and for the gallery. All just am ever in your debt. Wow.
Exaggerating.
And the two of you together, it's like rock stars for me. Vickisa and Diana. It's like just the best, the best. So Vickisa, I have a question for you, and it has to do with your wonderful dog. Can you talk a little bit more about your dog as Muse and how that's evolved and so forth? I find that fascinating. Thanks.
Oh, that's interesting that you find it fascinating, because I think dogs are just so popular now, and everybody, it's just amazing to me. But I mean, I live alone, and this dog is a genius dog. I mean, she really is remarkable, and we're very, very close. We are very alike too. And she's really pretty, and I wanted a pretty dog, but she's a rescue dog, and it's the first rescue dog I ever had, and she's been the best dog I've ever had. And now she has kidney failure, which is really a drag, but she's being a real trooper about it, and I'm trying not to yell at her too much. She really is. She knows about 1,000 words, and I mean, she's a big part. She's really a big part of my life. It's kind of rough. Tell you, it's rough. Rough. That didn't answer the Muse part. I don't know. I'm just fascinated by her. I'm totally interested in her. I find her an interesting companion. When they say companion, I mean, she's really funny. For a really long time, because she came with a lot of problems, I thought about what she thought about. And I spent a lot of time like that. And it turns out she's got an incredibly active mind, just like me.
Can I tell Rosie's story?
Yes.
Okay, so I was dog sitting for Rosie for a little while when you were in New Orleans at the one of the festivals, I think. So she's got a valiant spirit, and she definitely has a mind of her own. And I'd have to take her out on dog walks. So we're down along the bluffs, we're down along the ocean, and she takes off, and she couldn't care less what I have to say about where she's going. But she just took off so fast, and she went way the heck out and down and around. And then at a certain point, she went too far. And then she's like, how am I going to get back? How can I get back? I'm going, come on, Rosie, you got to do it. You got yourself there. You got to take the leap and come over that big gap where the ocean is coming in, because Vickisa will kill me. But the language was so there, like, help.
I don't think I heard this story, but one of the funny things is now she can't get up on the couch as much. And now I sing to her. You'd love this, Diana. You can do it if you really want to. And it totally changes her. And then she sort of makes an effort. It's really, I mean, honestly, this dog is a trip. But Annie, didn't you have a question?
Please unmute yourself, Annie. We didn't hear you, so you need to unmute.
Well, it's not a question. Well, I could try and frame it as a question. My connection with both of you is what I would call theatrical. And in Diana's case, dance. We share a long connection to dance. And for me, over the last year, I've been really trying to find a way to gather all of our lineage of theater and dance and art and music and love of animals to help change how we think about life on the planet and how we're destroying it. I've especially been reading a lot about wolves and foxes. I had a fox come up my steps and into my living room in Inverness.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's happening is I'm wearing a raven, which I also have another one here. the raven has the intelligence of a 7-year-old child, which I am currently thinking is about as smart as a lot of humans yet. That's it. Cut off. And I just feel we have so much to do. The other angle of something that I've been incorporating is shamanism and ancestor wisdom from around the world. My friend Lucy Lewis, who's of the same ilk as dancers like me and Diana, has been running a shaman conference through the university that she inherited from her teacher at CSSI or whatever, CIIS, whatever. Anyway, the whole point is we have wisdom, but we've allowed ourselves to be shaped in a way where we dominate, we kill, we eliminate, murder, whatever. We've killed 80% of the animals.
No.
They're gone, and they're going very quickly right now because the people in the poorest countries are using, elephant livers or some damn thing.
Ew.
It's like, yep, really bad. Anyway, I love the fact that both of your works of art are provocative in terms of physical and engagement, touching, feeling, emotion.
Aw.
They're so provocative. And thank you. I might have to come over and apply to the gallery.
Yeah, one leaves and another
Represent
one.
the wild women.
Come on down, Annie.
I will.
It's an odd time, but it's really, yeah.
No, I've been going down to the waterfront in Berkeley, the marina, and dancing. There's a guy that's been bringing his Chinese gong down there and doing.
What time do you go?
What?
What time do you go down there?
Well, about 4 o'clock. We just got 45 more seconds of light today. Last week it was 23 seconds of light a day.
Good to know. Good to know. Well, I'll just tell you that I can see you and raise you one because I had a bobcat in my house.
We have one.
It was a young one, but it still took a little, it was challenging.
Yes. Yeah. The
And I
wild,
have
we're destroying the last of the wild habitats, and the animals are moving in. We have a big problem out in Point Reyes. The elk and the cattle are doing a crossover, and we're getting another zoonotic virus going there that's now contaminating all the waterways out there. And the cattlemen want to murder all of the elk. And my understanding is the park was made to be able to have the elk stay as the original inhabitants out there. We have to really stop this, our food systems that are murdering life on Earth.
People like to see animals, and they really should be considered.
Yes.
When I moved, speaking of moving, Diana, we're getting back to that. I had to move, and it was a big shock. Anyway, when I moved, I had these animals that I was so connected with because even when I was married, I talked to the animals. I have a thing, I know. But anyway, I made a series of paintings called I Moved and You're Invited. And it was all the animals that I wanted to come to where I am. And the only one that I can't really get in is the Western bluebird. I'm really having trouble having them be here, but I really got almost all my wishes with those paintings. So a lot of my stuff is like that. It's like a wish or an admonition to myself, kind of things that I'm trying to learn about. Yeah.
If you see any of these around, I had to put her down, and I'm so lonely. I'm looking for
honey,
a Great Dane. This is Matisse.
I'm so sorry.
Gallery. Matisse has been in any number of art openings, and she's so big. She's almost like a horse.
She's my size, darling. We're the same size.
You want another big one like that, huh?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
How do you get it in the car?
That's why they have long legs.
Oh, I get it.
Up. Are there any other questions?
Betsy.
I've been really enjoying this conversation, and it reminds me how much natural environments affect your work, and or at least seem to. And so I guess I wanted to ask both of you how much impact place, where you are when you're creating and what's around you, affects your work, and or if it does or if it doesn't. And I was thinking, like, Diana, different or than it is in the Emeryville studio. Just in general, how does your sense of place affect your work?
I'm just really grateful I've had this space because the walls are so high, they're 18 feet high.
Mm.
I don't feel, but I feel very confined in here. The floor is cement, and the wall, you know, I go outside from my door and I go down a long cement hall. So it's like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here.
Mm.
So, but that's maybe why I travel as much as I have, or that's why nature just becomes so predominant in me, because I gotta get out. So this last 9 months, since shelter in place, the story of how Stuart's brother invited us to come and stay in his cabin on 20 acres of land north of Fort Bragg, right above the ocean, about 800 feet above the ocean. It was such a renewal of spirit to be in this extraordinary, pristine environment where there's tons of ravens keeping an eye on me all the time from the trees up high, and they're watching my every move. And that picture of me with the tree stump. So I left a whole bunch of drawings and sketchbooks out around there on this path. And I went down to my cabin to have lunch or something. And I just left them there thinking, oh, well, they'll dry. And I came back and I went, well, what's been going on here? So I know what happened. It was raven. There's this raven that's up in the tree, up in this redwood tree, way up high. It's always like calling and looking down. I think it went down to check out the colors in the books. And it actually pecked out a whole page.
I knew it. I know how they think. I spent 7 days in the Valley of Fire and only red ravens were around me. And I'm telling you, they are so smart. And then Peter Pyle tells a story about these birds. I think it was ravens or crows, they're covids. And that there was one bird that was just really bad and they all got around it in a circle and started yammering at it. Don't you, I mean, they have like a judicial system.
They also have huge funerals. As soon as one raven dies, or even you can bait it with a cadaver, all the ravens in sound congregate and surround it. I saw them this week at the Berkeley Bowl on top of the roof of the building next door, something. But we have no idea what the other animals are doing. We've been living here with these animals for thousands of years, and we have no idea or even much curiosity about what they're doing and thinking and saying.
Oh,
It's interesting. It's interesting because there's it's a fox. There's a fox that's outside our door, kind of like the shrubs and into the woods close by where we are. And we put our compost around close to that area around a tree. And that fox has no fear whatsoever about us being there. And it just kind of like walks around at dusk and just kind of like looks at me and then looks back and then just saunters and then saunters back. And it's just like doing this little dance.
They're symbiotic. They actually like people.
Whoa.
I went on a hike with Richard Vasha. Do you know him? He teaches tracking at the barn on Bear Valley Road. And he is just brilliant. He used to write an article for the Point Reyes Light.
Yeah.
And now there's a book there. I got it. He says what he does is he takes the pathways and he lies down. And when you are not being a hostile force, the animals hardly pay any attention to you. They just go about their business. So we have really not learned how to live with other species. It's a pathetic situation.
A lot of artists draw ravens and birds. They seem to come up a lot. Have you noticed? Yeah, I know.
I had a really interesting encounter with wildcats, which I did a performance about years ago. I had 4 encounters with cats in the wilderness. And the first time I felt like they could hear my thinking, and I was grieving the death of my husband. And I was camping by myself at our sacred site in Big Sur. And I had very, very frightened at nighttime, like the bushes were rustling and it was like, oh God, am I going to make it through the night? And so let me see if I can like reincarnate that feeling of the fear that I was carrying and the grief that I was carrying. Just, I had been, anyway, so I was just like in the ethos of that. And the next morning when I woke up and looked around, I realized when I had called into my campfire that night that I had called out every single thing that I was afraid of. And every single thing I was afraid of is of everything I love. And when I thought that thought, I heard this sound. And I was like, what? What's going on here? Shape-shifting. There was a bobcat that was very close to my ankle. And it's like, it just said, you know, I felt like it just said, take heed. Take heed what you just said. And after, so it was like a journey through grief. Now that was the first encounter. And then there were 3 others over a period of 2 or 3 years of these encounters with these magnificent wild animals. And every single time it was like I came into a deeper level of acceptance of life and death. They were my teachers.
Was that the Jaguar series that you did?
Yeah. And I cast handmade paper panthers and did rituals and storytelling.
You encountered them in Africa, when you were in Africa?
Oh, I started crying when I first saw them there. It was like, you brought me here. We're watching these lions and the cubs out in the bush. And I'm just going, it's because of you I came here. Because of your wildness, because you're here.
That's a story. That is really interesting. The bobcat that I had in my house, it got interesting too, because I actually it's a really long story, but I'll make it quick because the SPCA guy came finally after I got him there. And he said, that's not a bobcat, that's a feral cat. I said, well, let's catch him anyway, whatever. So he takes out this net and bangs my TV over and bangs everything over. He finally grabs the cat and he turns the net and he looks at it. He says, oh, it is a bobcat. I said, yeah. So is it healthy? He said, yeah, it looks healthy. I said, let's just dump it over the fence over there. And that bobcat used to come and visit, and he would walk so close to my house, almost on the deck. And I'd say, that's a little too close. And then he just kind of walk away. I mean, I got the feeling that we really had a little connection there.
You do.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does anybody else have any anything they'd like to share? You want to talk about, Shelley, do you want to tell about Gallery Route 1 and just a few of the things that are happening to catch people up on it?
Well, I was going to mention some things when we close at the end. So if we can wait till then. Diana?
Robert, can you hear us? Robert Hersey? I see your name showing up. Or Janine? Okay, no. I'm curious, actually, I don't know, Patricia, if you would care to address, I remember the last time I came to visit your studio, you were working on this shelter that was a tent-like structure that had to do with a homeless woman that you were working, the theme of her. Are you continuing to do that?
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't join you sooner. I was out walking and lost track of time, but I'm here now. Yeah, I did actually make a tent, and so I am still thinking about it. I'm trying to think more deeply about it now. So, since you brought it up, I'll just say, the reason I was doing them is kind of because I feel like people, want to look away from the homeless. They don't want to see it. And I'm just curious about what that is. And so that was kind of what got me doing them. And then it kind of moved on to, I heard some interviews with homeless people, and especially one struck me, a mother and her child.
and how she was just trying to make a nice home, for her in a tent, and she wanted the same things that we all want. And so, I've done a lot of work with chandeliers that's kind of about opulence and extravagance. But and I put a chandelier in this tent. And I think one of my friends questioned that. Why would you include an opulent thing in this tent? It's because the homeless want those same things that we all want. They want beauty and elegance. And, I just find them amazing, their strength in the face of this. So, I don't know that I could have anything to say as an artist about it, but I felt compelled to grapple with it in some way.
Good, good.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, I was so curious. I just want to add to that chandelier story just slightly. I parked my car in San Francisco at a place, doesn't exist anymore, but it was free parking. It was along a fence, and there was a homeless cardboard box. And I realized when I looked at it that there were all these pieces from all pieces of glass that were suspended along the fence and over the box. And I went, okay, there's somebody inside that wants beauty and wants protection. And that's why this is catching on. And it turned out to be a young woman.
Yeah. And, it's just, the lack of respect for that when the homeless are, their possessions are taken, and it's like then they have to begin again. So instead of not only are we not helping them, we're setting them back when that happens to them, and they have to begin again. So that's resilience, isn't it?
Yeah. One thing I've noticed, like when I go to get on the freeway from Emeryville, like right along Highway 101 or right at Berkeley, those big gigantic turnoffs, there is the encampments, and there are so many teddy bears and stuffed dogs and animals that are strewn along the path and hanging from the trees. It's like, whoa, the comfort of a teddy bear.
Yeah.
And there was this big handmade sign that said, "Don't worry, we're going to get through this." The voices.
Well, I think it's the same place you're talking about. It's the Ash, I guess it's at University.
Yeah.
Where, probably 2 years ago, it's the sign that was up was, where should we go? They want us to go, but where should we go? So.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot to contemplate, and that, I just feel like it's one of the major issues in our world, and we try to ignore it. So.
Well, I think there's going to be so many thousand more people now with COVID that are out of jobs and are hungry. It's just like, we got to participate more somehow.
Well, everyone, I'm going to interrupt at this point. If for no other reason than my power is about to run out, and it might be a good time to stop. So are there any last words anyone wanted to say before we close?
I wanted to thank everybody for all of you folks. Really, it's appreciated that you showed up. I know it's hard. Everybody's so busy, but thank you very much.
It was nice to see everybody's faces. The ones whose faces I can see.
Nice to have someone to talk.
Very touching to me to have you guys participate with us like this, because it's our life. Our art life is this.
Yes. We're in this together.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you'll join us again next Sunday at 3 p.m. when artists Will Toms and Joe Fox will get curious about each other's work. Our members exhibition Resilience is available for viewing in the gallery Thursday through Sunday, although we were closed this past weekend. We're open 11 to 5, and it'll be up through January 17th. Works may also be viewed on our website or even purchased in our online store, thegrowshop.org. And on January 23rd, our juried show, Crossing the Divide, opens. It was juried by Donna Seeger of Seeger Gray Gallery, and our virtual opening reception will be on January 24th at 3 p.m. If you were moved by today's presentation and want to support the work that Gallery Route 1 does to bring art to the community, then please visit our website and make a donation today. Make a note in the comments that your donation is because of Artist Conversations. And thanks again for coming, everyone. And we hope we'll see you at our next Artist Conversations. Bye.
Bye.
Hug, hug.